Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Edna Matsuoka. I will now be conducting the regular Sunday service. Please join me in prayer. Mediation Prayer, page 2 of the prayer book. Let us seek the sacred mediation of Wahiawa Konko sincerely and wholeheartedly each and every day. May we receive the mediation anew with all our hearts and souls on this day of the very moment. Wahiawa Konko Daijin Sama, Wahiawa Konko Daijin Sama, Wahiawa Konko Daijin Sama, Wahiawa Konko Daijin Sama. Purification prayer through the way of mediation. May our sincere apologies be acceptable to you, our divine prayer. We acknowledge our mistakes and misunderstandings, arrogance and ignorance of your divine favor. We apologize for all our shortcomings and differences in past generations. Guide us to amend our way of living to reflect your divine will with a pure, joyful, and loving heart, always dwelling with you. Carry prayer. Reverently we pray. The radiance of heaven, the riches of earth, time flows without cease, years pass without end. In heaven and earth the light that nurtures all. In heaven and earth the truth that overcomes all. For this wondrous form, for these wondrous works, let us with attention Kami. Let us praise the divine power of the universe. Kind love and care for all humanity. All those who live between heaven and earth, to revere Kami as a divine parent, to live in Kami's infinite blessings. This is the way. Yet many not knowing the way are lost in greed and selfishness. They suffer the cycle of misfortune. Great is Kami's sorrow. Our founding father Konko Daijin suffered many trials in this world, and our father's faith and sincerity. He received Kami's good blessing, and began the life of mutual fulfillment of humanity. Humbly we pray, the divine parent great wish get us fulfilled. Konko Daijin accepted the call to mediation that leads to the mutual benefit of Kami and humanity. By way the way of faith to all who sought him, expounding the blessings of heaven and earth. And he now come at night. By night he prayed for those who grieve, seeking salvation for all who suffered, and he knew not the dawning of day. The years passed, the world changed. He did not waver from his task, the divine task of mediation. Thus, forgiven the 6th century Katsuke, a guiding principle for our daily life. The divine favor was renewed, and blessings flowed universally, establishing the way of eternal prosperity, the way of mediation of Wahiawa Konko Daijin. By this wondrous revelation, we are given knowledge of the way. Through all the hardships of this world, the pain of body and soul, the way of mediation teaches us to turn our hearts to Kami, without regard for day or night, whether we are near or far. The way of mediation teaches us to pray with total trust. While being unaware of divine favor, we offer our sincere apologies and pledge to mend our ways. Let us live our faith every day, seeking and rejoicing in your divine favor. Let us care for those in need and invite them to the way. Let us guide those who are lost and awaken them to the lifeful purpose. Kami is fulfilled in us, we are fulfilled in Kami. May this way of mutual fulfillment be manifested in this world. May Kami's wish for true peace and the well-being of all people be fulfilled. So we humbly pray, so we earnestly pray. Recitation of Tenchi Katsuke, page 6. Ikigami Konko Daijin Tenchi Kami no Kami Shuri Negae Okagewa wa Kokoro ni ari Kongetsu Konmi Pray sincerely with all your heart. Be one with Kami. Kami's blessings begin within. Hearts grateful and caring, in harmony and joy. Look to Kami always, now and forever. On this very day pray. Kami Konko Daiji Tenchi Kami no Kami Shishimi Gai. Okagewa ga kokoro ni ari, kongetsu konnichi de kanome. Pray sincerely with all your heart, be one with Kami. Kami's blessings begin within, heart grateful and caring, in harmony and joy. Look to Kami always, now and forever, on this very day pray. Dear Kami Konko Daijin-sama, Tenchi Kani no Kami-sama, we are gathered here at the Konko Mission of Wahiawa for this regular Sunday service in honor and appreciation of your divine workings of the universe. The regular blessings we receive on a daily basis are the greatest blessings we can ask for. Your divine energy exists in all aspects of our lives. You live in us humans, in plants, in animals, in fishes, and birds, and in everything. Your divine energy existed since the beginning of time. It can never be created nor destroyed. We are surrounded by your workings that continue to provide for us. So we'd like to take this very brief moment of our day to say thank you. This year marks the 81st year since the founding of this church by the late Reverend Haruko Takahashi. Please guide us in her pursuit to continue the legacy of this church. She has sincerely dedicated her life to serving people and serving Kami-sama. We thank her for her spirit, which continues to watch over us. We also give thanks for the strong prayers of the sixth spiritual head, Reverend Hiromichi Konko, who serves at the headquarters currently and prays for the well-being of all people. We also appreciate the Amagasaki Church and Honolulu Church, which are our grandparent and parent church, and the ministers, followers, and supporters of this church. Please continue to guide us in our daily lives and bless every cell in our body from head to toe. At this time, let us take a moment to reflect upon the many blessings we receive and extend a deep prayer for people who are unaware of your blessings and so experience hardship and suffering. We pray that the Kami-sama within all of us shines through. We pray that even one more person can realize their divine workings and be saved. Silent prayer. Thank you again for all that you do. Adoration Prayer, page 7. We lift our eyes in awe toward heaven soaring above. We lift our eyes in awe toward heaven soaring above. We bow our heads in prayer for earth and deep. Living on such gifts of Kami's faith giving, how happy and grateful we are. The mediation of Kami Konko Daijin does not stop for us a single day. The protection of the Divine Parent embraces all far and wide. The blessings of Kami flow without limit through all generations. The ways of Kami are mysterious and wondrous beyond our understanding. Day by day, every day, earnestly and reverently, we pray the virtues of Kami. We honor the whole of Kami. Shintoku Sanji, page 29. 青にまつれば天高く青にまつれ
私は厚し神の恵みに生かされる身の幸いぞありがたき我が生き神の本当に次一日もかくる時のなく天地の神の御守りと義近きの隔てなし神慈しみをよろずよにあまねく道で果てしなく感計らいはくすしくて人の思いぞ及ばざる我ら今月今日いやび祭りでひたすらに神の御影をたたえますら神の比例を仰ぎますら
喜怒拝礼。Mitama Prayer, page 12. Spirits of those who have gone before us.
You are given the gift of life in this vast and endless universe. You declare your duties sacredly, each according to your final years. You will remember eternally. Your life will go from generation to generation. Honored as the foundation of our society and the roots of our families. Through the mysterious origins of Kami, you enter the Konko faith. You walk the way of Konko Daishin, respecting the way of the divine parent. You amass greatness through your faith to take in the world beyond and lead to your descendants. Our gratitude is boundless for your loving givers. We revere you as the ancestral spirits of our homes, our own divine spirits. We beseech you, symbolize each and every one, receive the favor of Kami, and help us fulfill our tasks as people without failing. Protect us, guide us, enrich us, that we may never lose the way of faith, that we may hand it down to all generations, that we may live in peace and prosperity within our homes. Protect us, guide us, and enrich us.
Yamitama, spirits of the late Reverend Haruko Takahashi, deceased family, friends, spirits of the native Hawaiian people, and beloved house pets I have passed. Good morning to all of you. We have gathered here today for our regular Sunday service in acknowledgement of Kami-sama's blessings and remembrance of you. We know that you're always watching over us and supporting our well-being and decisions, even more now that you are a Mitama spirit. You are the foundation of our existence, which enables us to be able to enjoy blessings today. If it were not for you, we would not be here. We are here today to honor your divine spirit and to pray for your eternal happiness and peace. Whether through a yellow butterfly, a dream, or a gust of wind, letting us know your presence in these many forms reminds us that your love for us continues. So we wish to continue your legacy as an extension of your life and help pass on your core values. We now take this moment of silence to think about you and your generous love and care for us. Silent prayer. You are in our hearts always. We want to thank you again very much. Sosen Sanji, page 36. 世々の親は
我が家の神は神と心尽くしてつきまつらな心尽くしてつきまつらな尊きに親の神たちを海の子のために家の柱を沈めたてたまい初子のために世のなりわいを守り助けたまい隠り世の見えぬ境にましませども見え尽くしみの御心は写しよに変わらせたまわず先みたまのまさきくさきわえたまいくしみたまのくしびにめぐみたまいて心出しは薪の柱の動きなくなりわいは結ぶつなめの指なく真心清らに励み努めしめたまいうからやからやわらぎあいて日にけにうらやすく楽しましめたまいついに写し世のことを得て神の帝に参らん時には必ずしも迎え取りたまい見尽くしみをこうむらしめたまわんものと神の実りの絶えなるをかしこみかたじけなみによやの恵みのおぼろげならぬをうれしみ喜び申すことをみ心もつづやかに聞こしめしたまえと
open your prayer books to page 73. We'll read this together. Konko Faith Our Creed. We believe in Tenchi Kano Kami, the divine parent of the universe. Our founder Konko Daishin, raised Kami's revelations, and at divine mediator, answers all to eternal initiation. Our continuing goal from moment to moment is to realize Kami within each of us. We are fulfilled through Kami. Kami is fulfilled through us. The happiness of everyone is Kami's greatest wish. We give thanks for Kami's blessings, mysterious wonders and wonders, blessings in with our own hearts filled with harmony and joy. We pray wholeheartedly to Kami, today and every day, trusting Kami as our loving parent, finding peace of mind. We live our faith in service to Kami, each other, and our world, nurtured, mutually fulfilled. We revere those who have gone before us, spirits one with Kami, caring for us eternally. We respect and appreciate other paths taken by humanity toward spiritual fulfillment. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today at online Facebook Live. Thank you for joining us. This morning, I would like to share about a pretty famous Konko minister who lived in the past. His name was Reverend Nakayama, or Kametaro Nakayama Sensei, and he was also a professor of, and this is Nakayama Kametaro Sensei. So today I will speak about him. And the reason I speak about him today is because recently I had the pleasure of helping to do English editing of a translated speech of Reverend Shohei Sensei of Reverend Shohei Tsuda Sensei of the Amagasaki Church. So he explained about this sensei in his sermon, and somebody typed it out and translated it into English, and I did like a final English editing for it. And then while I was reading, I was so amazed at his story. Like, I knew about his story because I've been reading it since I was a little kid. So this is the Konko religion. It's a comic book, and my favorite comic was about Nakayama Kametaro Sensei. It's the purple pages. And as you come into the Konko mission of Wahiawa, you will see a nice framed calligraphy piece on the right hand side. You want to kind of, you want to try to face the camera over there? I want you to see the calligraphy piece that. Okay, I guess that works. Can you see it? Okay. It says Shinji Kyoei. Okay, you can come back here now. Shinji Kyoei means Kami and humanity thriving together. Tomoni, sakaeru. So Nakayama Sensei wrote that, and he didn't write it with his hands. He wrote it with his mouth. Can you believe that? Can you write things with your mouth? Can you? He wrote that with his mouth. And you probably wonder, what do you mean his mouth? I will explain. It's going to be a bit lengthy, but I think it's worth listening to his story. I kind of shortened it because it's going to take over an hour if I read the whole entire speech of Tsuda Sensei. So I will be reading about his Nakayama Sensei's story. So, where was it? Okay, so the Reverend Kametaro Nakayama was born in Nakasho. Nakasho, hometown of his mother, in Kurashiki. It's a town right next to Konko, Kurashiki, Okayama Prefecture, Japan. His father was a miner, the coal mines or like iron ores, and he worked in the mines and then moved to Akita Prefecture. There, they were a family of 4, which is a mother, father, older sister, and Kametaro. Their misfortune began when their father died in the tragic explosion accident while working in the mines. So there was a tremendous gas explosion, and Kametaro-kun's dad died, and he was only 4 years old at the time when the dad died. So Kametaro's mother was 29 years old, and with the death of his father, it was too difficult to continue to live in Akita. So his mother, older sister, Kametaro, and now his grandmother moved to Kokura in Kyushu Prefecture. They started living off of the condolence money they received because the husband passed away, right? And in the beginning, his mother worked in the retail to earn a living. One day, Kametaro's mother made glutinous rice cakes, or mochi, for the children. And the children were happy, and they requested their mother to make not regular mochi, but yomogi mochi. And you know yomogi mochi, right? The green is really good. It's like, if I had a choice of regular white mochi or green mochi or yomogi, I would definitely choose the yomogi because it's so delicious. It's made from Japanese mugwort, which is like a weed. It's like a weed that grows along everywhere. But since they were living near the railroad tracks, there were many yomogi leaves around that area. Kametaro-kun and his sister went out to gather some yomogi. It was near the busy Kokura station where the kids were on the train picking up some yomogi. In those days, people were free to approach the tracks, and it was easy to get in and out of the tracks. And it wasn't like now where there's like special fences. Yeah, you can't get through. Because right now it's like prohibited to go near the tracks. And since the train was approaching, the kids intended to get away. And they were all running away. Oh, train's coming, get out of here, let's go. Move to safety. But while trying to move away from the approaching train, Kametaro's new geta clogs, the wooden clogs, the slippers that they wore in the back of the day, it got stuck on the train tracks when he was trying to run away. Being a small child, now he was only 5 years old, he was way more concerned about his geta because they were brand new. His mother bought them for him, and they were really poor, so he really wanted to take good care of things, and he was brand new, so he was like, it's stuck. So he was more, he thought his get-up clogs were more important to him. An adult would just have left it there, and they were like, oh, just get new ones because it's dangerous. And he was determined to free his geta from the train tracks, and he tried to pull it off really hard. However, while he was trying to struggle to get his geta clogs off, he wasn't paying attention, and the train came and ran him over. And in the instant that he was hit by the train, he lost consciousness, and he explained in the book that he wrote that when he woke up, he was already in the hospital bed. His mother was informed about Kametaro's accident and was transported to the hospital, and the mother just rushed to the hospital. And when she walked into the hospital room, she saw her son was covered in a blanket. And she just wanted to make sure that first, is he alive? Is my son alive? She was so astonished when she lifted the blanket. She saw her son's disfigured body, both arms missing, and one leg got amputated. Can you believe that? He only had one leg left, and his torso and his head. She was so astonished that she fainted in shock and needed care for 3 days and 3 nights in the hospital. According to Kametaro, his mother was a powerful woman. She never cried in public, even when her husband died. She may have cried in privacy, but she never showed tears, ever, not even to her kids, not even at the funeral. As for his arms, Kametaro's arms that got amputated, we might all be wondering how far up his arms got amputated. And it seems that Kametaro-kun was only left with a 3-centimeter stump now from the armpit. It was as if nothing was left that looked like an arm. The situation may have been a little better if he had at least some arm left, but it was really literally to the shoulder that got cut off. So doctors might have determined that it was necessary to amputate him a little bit further to extend and save his life. The mother came in and out of consciousness for 3 days and 3 nights, and that's how shocked she was. Kametaro needed care at the hospital in Kokura for 3 months before he was ready for discharge. To pay for the medical expenses, the mother sold all of her household goods and even sold a house and even worked harder. Kametaro was 4 years old when his father died, And this tragic accident happened when Kametaro was 5 years old. After the death of Kametaro's dad, they moved to Akita to Kokura while barely surviving on condolence money raised after the funeral. Then the family had to give up living in Kokura because it became so difficult to make ends meet after Kametaro lost both arms and the leg. Can you imagine how financially constrained they must have been? And these tragic things happening one after another? It's crazy. Kametaro's mother had no other option but to be working as a single mother. Kametaro also needed assistance. There was just no way around this situation, so they moved to Shimane, where their relatives were, so they could get some help. Now, I looked in the comic book, and I showed her carrying Kametaro on the back and traveling, and they said that she had to go to a distant relative. The distance of the relative house was 331 kilometers. I tried to put that in Google Map from Kokura to Shimane, walking on foot, and it says 3 straight days of walking, and that doesn't include resting. So, she had no money to pay for the train. She was like pretty much penniless, didn't have any money at all. So she walked. Can you believe walking 331 kilometers? So Kametaro's mother and sister could walk without problems, but what were they going to do about Kametaro, who only had one leg? So Kametaro-kun was only 5, he couldn't walk after the accident, so the mother came up with an idea. She used a yanagi gori, which is like a wooden, like a woven basket, the one you strap like a backpack. But since Kametaro no longer had arm and leg, he couldn't really grab onto anything while in the basket, so his mother made sure he was secure. And with a shingen bag, shingen bag is a little pouch that hangs from the wrist. With a shingen bag in one hand and an umbrella on the other hand, and Kametaro on the back. This is how they walked from Kokura to Shimane Prefecture in the midsummer heat. 5-year-old boy, can you imagine carrying him around for 331 kilometers? A 5-year-old boy can get pretty heavy. I don't know how she did that. They lived there in Shimane Prefecture for about a year and a half. Then, at the age of 7, when Kametaro was age of 7, he went to when he was of school age, his mother wanted him to enter elementary school. So they returned to the mother's home village in Nakasho, Okayama, and asked the principal if he can be enrolled. And the educational system was not compulsory in that day, so not everyone could enter elementary school. In Nakasho, there was a mining company also, and only the very strong, healthy were allowed to work there. That's how severe and hazardous the work conditions were. Even Kametaro's father died in the mines, and it was really hazardous to work there. It was mainly a man's job to work in the mines. However, Kametaro's mother was determined to work at the mines alongside the men. Even if she wanted to have Kametaro enroll in elementary school, the principal of the school at the time refused to accept him. Can you imagine that? If that happened in this day and age, the American Disabilities Act would be like, right after, and you'd be like, But back in the days, we're like, we can't take care of your disabled son. He can't even take care of himself, and we're going to have to be taking care of him, so we can't even teach the kids. So like the principal was like, no, we can't take care of we can't have your son attend our school. And again, education was not compulsory, so if there were barriers, learning barriers, people just didn't attend and they didn't take their kids to school. So that didn't work either, and eventually the mother reached a dead end. She said, I should have asked Kami-sama before asking the school first. From now on, I'll rely on Kami-sama and have Kami-sama help him learn to read and write on his own, even if the school doesn't accept him. So in this way, she made her own request to Kami-sama and began to have faith. She turned her heart to Kami-sama, and there the Nakayama family and Kami-sama formed a divine relationship. There was a mine, another mine in her town in Nakasho. The mother worked at the mine as hard as the men. She worked hard there during the day, and she walked to worship to the Konko Church 4 kilometers away every night. Can you walk? Every night, can you believe that? After working all day at the coal mine, she walk 4 more kilometers to the church every night. How devout of his mother to continue to go to church for 2 years now, every day, without missing a single night. That's how desperate she was to save her son. She must have been seriously thinking about her son. Without that, it's hard to say whether she would have been so desperate in the pursuit of her faith. Then things started to change. When Kametaro-kun was 9 years old, another principal was assigned to the school. And thankfully, that principal worked hard to persuade the village mayor to allow Kametaro-kun to enroll into the 2nd grade, even though it was only halfway through the school year. As a result, Kametaro-kun was able to go to school. And that's really wonderful, right? However, more problems. When he went to school, he was bullied now by the children. They called him a one-legged scarecrow and teased him because he had no hands, he had no arms and only one leg. He was pretty much like a turtle. They would just throw stones at him and chase him with sticks. They would push him and make him fall to the ground and laugh at him. Being a 9-year-old boy and having to go through bullying must have been very difficult for Kametaro-kun. And to make it worse, he couldn't fight back when he got bullied because he had no arms and only one leg. He didn't have any prosthetics in those days either. He had to just grit his teeth and be patient. How sad that was. At night, he would cry under his futon. And his mother always said to him gently while crying alongside him, "Study hard, Kametaro. Don't hold grudges. If you're frustrated or feel sad, you should study." And she really emphasized study hard and never hold grudges. Always repeated that to her son. The mother was speaking to her son, trying to reach his soul. Usually, if a child gets bullied, his or her parents, they go to the parents or the person that gets bullied, of the bully, and say something, right? Like, "Your son is bullying my son." And, a fight would occur with the parents. But Kametaro-kun's mother didn't do that. She just said to the son, "Study hard, don't hold grudges." She always tried to encourage him. He later said, "I felt an innumerable love from my mother." Perhaps his mother might have felt the need to go and talk to the parents of the bully and demand an apology, but she never did such things. She just encouraged him never to be distracted. The mother realized no matter where he goes, prejudice and discrimination is just going to follow him. It's going to go wherever he goes. So as long as he's alive, someone may always talk behind his back and be told and tell him what to do. Even if so this is her voice now, even if she says something to resolve the issues, she didn't see how it was going to help her son. She believed that Kametaro had to face these challenges and go through them one by one for the sake of his future. So his mother's prayer and unconditional love must have reached him, and Kametaro-kun took out his frustration by studying even harder. He trained himself to write the Japanese calligraphy brushes using his mouth, like I said, how he did the calligraphy earlier. And he also did things with his toes. In particular, I'd like to say that the level of his work cannot be imitated. It's amazing. He explained that his toes did the same job that his fingers did on people's hands. And I remember watching a video of Kametaro Sensei, and he was able to really wash dishes and smoke cigarettes with his toes, like really amazing.
Origami.
Yeah?
Origami.
He could even fold origami with his toes. I wish I could find that video and digitize it and show you all. So anyways, with the 3-centimeter stump that was left on his shoulder, he was still able to do things without difficulty. Can you imagine that? And it's both sides, His mother worked in the mines all day long, and then returning home, she worked late into the night, which meant that Kametaro-kun had to do everything by himself. He never asked his mother to help him. And because of that, he learned to do pretty much everything on his own without any problems. This situation had a positive effect on the outlook of his life. However, he also said that there were times when things got so painful for him and he felt so emotionally he was suffering so emotionally that he felt that he could live no longer and he wanted to commit suicide at times. I believe his mother went through the hardest times. While Kametaro-kun did his best day after day, people around him often asked with concern how she could raise a disabled son. gossip and say, it doesn't make sense. It would be better to sell the child and to exchange him for money. Can you believe that? People did that in the past. Sell their unwanted children for money. Oh my goodness. Some people were concerned about their livelihood and suggested making money off of him and making Kametaro-kun into a sideshow freak like a circus or something. But regardless of people's cold comments, his mother continued to work tirelessly. There were no human rights back in the days, so thank goodness for human rights. Gradually, the many comments made the mother very anxious and depressed. Can you imagine if people start gossiping about your child, your disabled child, when you're trying to be positive, when you're trying to be optimistic, and people be pessimistic, throwing all these negative comments at you, you're going to be bombarded with so much negative energy that you can't win anymore. And that's the state that Kametaro's mother gradually fell into. She was so worried about their future that she finally concluded that it may be best just to kill myself already and kill her son along with her. Can you imagine the level of distress she was in? Even if her son continued to live like this, she felt he will go through a lot of unexpected trouble. And she thought that it would be better to kill him rather than live an unhappy life. No matter how hard she worked for her son, there is no guarantee that she will be happy or he will be happy. Her anxiety must have hit the roof. And people kept telling her that her efforts for her son were useless. She couldn't take it anymore, and she was determined to kill her son along with herself to end all this misery. She even went to church to say goodbye. You know, the one she goes to every night. She went to, but this time she thought, if I tell Sensei and say goodbye, he's going to find out that she's going to about her plan of suicide, right, and killing her son with her. So, and Sensei would try to stop her. So she thought, I'm not going to approach Sensei. I'm just going to go to church and be right at the entrance to give my last prayers and thanks to Kami-sama. So she quietly hid behind the entrance and thanked Kami-sama and apologized that she was about to commit suicide and was just about to leave the church to commit the act. At the time, there were only about 2 or 3 others that were at the Hiromai receiving Toitsugi mediation. At that moment, she was still hiding at the entrance, and she did not hear any of the content of the others receiving Toitsugi mediation. However, at that moment she was about to leave, she suddenly heard in a very loud voice coming from Sensei, "Have faith with a concerned heart." Okay, it's easier when you use Kami as your cane. It was a message from the Sensei to the person he was talking to, not the mother now. Yet Kametaro's mother heard it as if Kami-sama were saying that message to her. And these words were from Kami-sama, she thought. Kami-sama was telling me as I came to my final goodbye after having made up my mind to commit suicide. She stopped in the tracks and listened further to Sensei teaching behind the entrance. A metal cane will bend, and a bamboo or wooden cane will break. Therefore, use Kami as your cane. Kami can never be bent, can never be hurt, and can never die. Kametaro's mother was in utter shock. She explained that she felt it was the words of Kami-sama. And she worried because she was trying to figure out how to live life on her own power. She was so afraid of the future that she wanted to commit suicide and take her son with her. What I thought was so amazing in the story was that the part of when his mother was enlightened about why Kametaro has been blessed with all this life until this day, despite the loss of his arms and legs. And I believe Kami-sama had a deep will for me. He could have been dead when he had the accident. I mean, considering back in the day they didn't really have a blood transfusion and he was only like a 5-year-old boy, lost his arms and leg. Can you imagine the amount of bleeding that might have happened? I'm surprised he didn't go into shock and die. And she was surprised how he was saved also. And she wondered what it meant for her son, who had lost both arms and legs, to be still alive till this day. She had thought about his child's life. She might have thought that it would be better to die if the mother had a heart like that. Kami-sama would have taken his life already, right? But the child was allowed to live. Even though he lost both arms and a leg, he had been kept alive until this day. Why is that? She believed that there must be a deep, profound will from Kami-sama in all of this. From there, the mother developed absolute conviction that Kami's will and became a stronger person. And she was already strong, but she became as strong as iron, unbreakable, and unbendable no matter what, according to Kametaro Sensei. She said, I could never have done this on my own. Kami-sama has kept them alive. No one can say the situation I was in was good. I have no idea what to expect. My coworkers tell me I shouldn't have raised this disabled child. He gets bullied all the time, and nothing changed. And it's not like his arms and legs will grow back, she thought. It's not like the situation changed at all. Before she visited church, she was ready to die, but it was her mind that changed dramatically. She believed that there must be a tremendously deep wish from Kami-sama. Physically, nothing changed. It's not like Kametaro's arms and legs grew, but what has changed? The mother's heart changed. When she heard the words of Toitsu's mediation, her heart changed. She developed absolute conviction. Nothing can be set in stone for sure. It's natural for her to be anxious about this, but due to her heart changing, everything changes. Nevertheless, she believed that Kami-sama had a deep and profound intention in letting his son survive. It is awesome. What I found amazing is the faith that the mother had. She said it gave her hope for her son's future. What the sensei said, what she heard sensei talking. Then she started to work even harder for her child. Toitsugi mediation gave her courage and hope. Mining ore is usually a back-breaking, labor-intensive men's work. And a usual male worker can only break about 3 tons of rock. But Kametaro's mother was able to break about 5 tons of rock. She worked harder than a man, and when she returned back home, she did her housework as well. Believing in Kami-sama gave her hope for her son's life. She became even more resilient, that she didn't take a leave of absence, not even for a day. Amazing. Kametaro-kun eventually became a Konko minister and saved many people. Reverend Tsuda Shohei Sensei is one of the people that he saved. And to the people who are living in despair with many difficulties, Kametaro Sensei gave immense courage and hope for them to survive. He doesn't just give general encouragement to try hard. He makes you truly practice faith and overcome difficulties in life through practicing faith. Moreover, he showed people that it is possible not just to live, but to live a happy life. I think his faith offered a great deal of hope and courage for those who think that it can't live any longer. However, during those days of despair, it was not Kametaro-kun who had been practicing faith, but it was his mother. Have faith with a concerned heart. It's easier when you use Kami-sama as your cane. A metal cane again will get bent, and a bamboo or wooden cane will break. Therefore, use Kami as your cane. Kami can never be bent, can never be hurt, and can never die. I believe his mother's faith was the reason why Kametaro Sensei lived the way he did. First of all, Kami-sama saved his mother, and that was a significant turning point. The most important part is what has kept us alive until this day. It's true for all of us, right? When we are alive, we encounter many difficulties. But the fact that we are alive today, right here, means that Kami-sama's will is at work for us. What kinds of intentions are out there? If you are suffering and your role here on earth is done, Kami-sama will take your life back in an instant. So, in the scriptures, there's a teaching that goes, because you're not going to make it, I shall let you rest. This is what Kami-sama said to Konko Daijin during his final days. And this is how I took your life, said Kami-sama. If Kami-sama lets us live, then there is meaning for it. There is a purpose. It is not your time yet. There are things we have to do while we are still alive. She believed that there was a deep will of Kami-sama in all of this. That's amazing. I believe that the strong will was also passed down to Kametaro Sensei, giving him the courage and hope to live on, even though he was going through a difficult time. When I think about all these things, I can't help but to reflect on Kametaro Sensei's faith and life, which has been passed down to him by his mother. And today we're able to learn about Kametaro Sensei's mother's faith. As you walk into this Konko Mission Wahiawa again, you will see the framed calligraphy. Look at it. It's not just decoration. It was written by Nakayama Kametaro Sensei, this sensei, and it's an original calligraphy written by his mouth. And just recently we learned that this piece was obtained by a Reverend Haruko Takai Sensei, who was the founding minister of Wahiawa Church, back in 1953. And she went as a group to the headquarters as a pilgrimage group, a big, gigantic pilgrimage group, post-war, as their first post-war pilgrimage to the headquarters. And during that time, Nakayama Kametaro Sensei was working at the headquarters and doing goyo there. And it was said that he was a very kind, generous person, very friendly, approachable, and he would sign autographs, have calligraphy pieces for people whenever they asked for it, even the Gakuin people who came to worship, and he didn't hesitate. He wouldn't be like, oh no, I don't have time for that. No, he always, with a smile, wrote pieces for people. So, Reverend Haruko Sensei was one of the people that he wrote a calligraphy piece for. So we're very, very grateful for this, and really I haven't been paying much attention to that, but since doing this translation work, I really developed a greater appreciation for the calligraphy piece, and also for Nakayama Kametaro Sensei. So I hope you got some inspiration from this story today. I'm sorry it was a little bit lengthy, but I just really wanted to share that times may become difficult for us sometimes, and we may feel like giving up, but always keep in the back of your mind that there must be a purpose for me to be still alive today, and try to improve yourself even a little bit day after day. And always remember that there's always people that are suffering so much out there, and we have to live each day and full gratitude, I think. Yeah.
99歳まで
Oh yeah. And he lived till the age of 99 years old. And he even got married and had children too. So
孫も
and he has grandchildren too. Amazing. So,
ですよ
there are books written in Japanese. I wish they were translated into English, but really, I'm glad that I was able to share this story with you. So, thank you very much today. ありがとうございました。写真撮る？
Thank you for joining today's service. Thank you, Edna Sensei, for your message. I I had an opportunity to listen to the Reverend Kametaro Nakayama when I was a high school student in Wahiawa. I still remember his gesture using arms like this. He could speak, smooth. And you could use scissors, of course. Really amazing person. And I learned that he had an opportunity. When Helen Keller came to Japan, he had an opportunity, but that didn't actualize. So he is such an amazing person, amazing Konko minister. But basically, it is her mother. He made him to such a great person, great individual. Without her mother's support, prayers, he would not have actually in that status of greatness. Actually, the original translation of the message by the Reverend Tsuda was made by Reverend Mitsuko Yasutake, Konko Church of Konko, Shikushon in Kyushu. And that was sent to Edna. And also spent so many hours with Reiko Sensei, both in Japanese, from only Japanese translation, compared and editing. And yeah, it was an amazing job. Without this translation would not be possible. And it's a good learning process, translating Japanese. And actually, I learned throughout my 44 years of ministry, I translated so many pages. Thanks to this. Many of the messages can already be in my. Anyway, I'm grateful to be able to do some kind of translation work. The Shinjin Choe, the message written by the Reverend Kametaro Nakayama, Kametaro Sensei. It's a very simple message. Actually, the message shows interdependent fulfillment of mutual prosperity. This kind of relationship could not exist in usual, what should I say, society, usual conditions. Kami can be so enormous, cannot be measured. A human being is such a small time compared to Kami's existence. But Konko-sama said, there can be relationship between Kami and each of us. Kami is Kami because of man, because of each of us. We are because of Kami-sama. Without Kami-sama, we simply do not exist. Kami-sama also does not exist without human beings. Like parent-child. With many parents does not exist if they do not have any children. And children do not exist without parents. So it's so simple. And even the student and teacher relationships. I'm a great teacher, but without any student, if students do not respond to the teaching, the teacher could not exist. The teacher could not be appreciated. So it can be mutual relationship. This Shinjin Kyoe, mutual interdependent relationship between Kami-sama and human is very Konko Kyo theological theory. Maybe only Konko Kyo advocate this message, Shinjin Kyoe. Kami and man inseparable relationship is shown in this shows message. And being aware of this inseparable relationship of Kami-sama is the Konko face. So, directing our heart, try to acknowledge the relationship or existence of Kami-sama can be to practice this. It can be such a simple form. What about those people who don't care about the existence of Kami-sama? There's no face at all. So being aware of Kami-sama blessing, Kami-sama existence is the basics of the faith practice. And we simply exist between heaven and earth. And this is an inseparable relationship with human being. We simply exist in the blessed nature of heaven and earth. So being aware of this blessedness of heaven and earth is also kind of faith practice. I think I should stop now. Thank you very much. Giami Konko lai tenchi kano kami shi lai Wahiawa kokoro ni ani kongetsu konnichi tanome Giami Konko lai tenchi kano kami shi lai Wahiawa kokoro ni ani kongetsu konnichi tanome number 2. Page 84, number 47. 84, number 47.
84, number 47?
Yep.
Number 47, there is a saying that if you have a sound mind, you will have a good life. The hearts and minds of people are the most important. If people do not enrich their heart by practicing faith, their heart cannot become sound. 48. 48. Practice your faith daily as if your life depended on it. Then you will be able to receive divine blessings even in matters of life and death.
49. Congratulations, congratulations, O young pine. Grow you go with branches ever spreading and pine needles so lush. People sing this song on happy occasions. However, it is through the efforts of the growing trunk that the branches grow and the pine needles become thicker. Furthermore, it is through the efforts of the invincible roots spreading underneath the ground that the trunk gets bigger. If the roots at the base of the tree die, the stout trunk, the growing branches, and thick needles will also die. If you have faith that spreads widely in everyday life, like the roots of a tree, you will not fall down even in desperate situations. You will prosper. Like a tree with full branches and thick needles, through receiving divine blessings, this is a joyous thing.
50. Everything is ruled by the ways of heaven and earth. This faith explains and teaches the ways of heaven and earth. The teachings I, Kataoka Joshiro, give you every day allow you to hear and learn the way of the universe. Try to understand the nature of things well. Practice your faith following the true path.
51. Even the nature of an unreasonable person can be totally changed if he practices faith. This can happen because he will learn to understand the ways of the universe while practicing faith. When you enter this faith, you will naturally follow the path for humans to tread. Some people boast that they know the right path for humans, but still do not understand the ways of Kami.
52. Kami doesn't have a mouth. Kami makes people talk. Kami sometimes borrows the voice of man to convey teachings. Therefore, those who practice faith should listen well, even to children lullabies. Listen carefully. Thank you very much.
おはようございます。Good morning. ただいまから歌を4つ歌わせていただきます。We're going to sing 4 songs. 新人の栄光 Page 57. お願いします。Page 57. 新人の栄光。大きく。 with a heart caught up in doubt and worry. I face my life every morning, wanting to shine, but somehow holding back joy and fear, still within my heart. Still I know, even while the smallest heart can run into someday and find a shining, shimmering, brilliant light coming from a path that never ends. Instead of losing hope or fearing what's ahead, let's keep on moving forward. When I'm down and ready to surrender, when times are hard and it seems so dark, just know each day that I'm never on my own. Gives me strength and courage to try harder. Hold hands with my friends standing by my side. Sweet arms together we will walk to the shining, shimmering, brilliant light. Come from a path that never ends. Instead of losing hope or fearing what's ahead, let's keep on moving forward with our heads held high. For we are all living in a world that embraces you and me with its love, supported by the prayers of those who care for us. We are never alone in our lives. Instead of losing hope or fearing what's ahead, let's keep on moving forward with our heads held high. For we are all living in a world that embraces you and me with its love, supported by the prayers of those who care for us. We are never alone in our lives.
ありがとうございました。Thank you very much. Please take care. See you next time.
池上根本来神天地神の神真理の愛おかげや我が心にあり今月今日で神に池上根本来神天地神の神真理の愛おかげや我が心にあり今月今日で神に
Thank you for joining us.
Conference.
One announcement. Please sign up for our Zoom conference, KMIC Zoom conference for Saturday, July 17th from 1:30 to 3:30. And I think we have about 20 people signed up so far. Reverend Saijiro Matsuda Sensei will be the guest speaker. He'll be speaking in English. So if you can join us, that'll be really, really awesome. And please sign up through our Google Docs link that I posted on Facebook. But if you need the link, please message us on Facebook messaging and I'll send it to you. But please, I got the language done. You have a great week.